With over 400 celebrity interviews and tons of pop culture nerdiness, Too Opinionated is a safe haven for your inner geek. Find us at meistercon.com or on YouTube under MeisterCon Pod. And please subscribe. It would really help us out. Thanks, everybody. Hi, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Too Opinionated. I'm so excited today. I've got actress Callie Johnson with me. So welcome, Callie.
Hey, thanks for having me.
You've been traveling, and you were still nice enough to jump on a podcast.
I am always happy to have a conversation with someone who is clearly a nerd, just like I am.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That's my people.
Nice. Good. Me too. Me too.
I should try to do a podcast while somebody's on a plane.
Oh.
I think that'd be interesting. I mean, you couldn't, well, maybe, because they've changed it now. You can kind of get on the internet now. Maybe.
You can get on the internet. You know, it would, I'd be curious to see how the people sitting on either side of that person feel about someone doing a live podcast in the middle of their flights.
They'd either love it or hate it.
Yes. Yes. Exactly.
Like I could see, like if you got the right people beside you, I could totally see them going along with it.
Totally.
If you got the wrong people.
Well, and God forbid somebody has to get up and go to the bathroom and crawl over you and, turbulence,
It'd be an entertaining podcast.
It certainly would. It would be an interesting interview, that's for sure.
So Callie, let's start this way. Talk a little bit about what got you into acting. Why'd you want to become an actress?
That is a great question. Was just thinking about that the other day. I grew up dancing. I grew up in a really small town in rural Illinois. I'm from Illinois. And my neighbor next door opened a dance studio in her basement. So I grew up dancing, and I'd never acted before. But I remember the specific intersection my mom and I were at when I was 12 years old. It was like a four-way stop. And I was so upset. I don't even know what I was upset about, probably like being 12 years old. And I was like, no, Mom, you don't understand. I want to be an actor. And she was like, okay. And I'd never acted before. I grew up loving movies. I mean, we were a big movie household at our house. We didn't have TV. My mom was like, I don't want my kids just watching whatever's on TV. Like we watch movies. That way I can kind of control, know what your kids are watching. So we watched a lot of movies growing up: Star Wars, Indiana Jones, Labyrinth, all the Disney movies. And I don't know, I think there was just something in me that and the most influential movies that I was watching at the time when I was 12 years old, the Lord of the Rings films had just come out.
Oh, very nice.
I was like captivated, and I was like, I want to do that. Whatever those people are doing, I want to do that. Never acted before. So I think I kind of held on to that for a while, just like wishing and hoping to be like somehow that I would become an actor, and not really knowing how to go about it. But then when I was in 8th grade, the high school was doing a production of The Sound of Music, and I grew up watching movie musicals too, and I loved The Sound of Music.
Yeah,
and they needed kids to play the Von Trapp children, and so I auditioned, and I got the part of one of the kids, and I never stopped. Like after that, it was like I was on play after play after musical after musical. So, and then I went to school for theater, and here we are.
I'm assuming you can sing if you got to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty good. That's pretty. Do you still remember the songs?
Oh, sure. Like doe, a deer, a female deer, and what's the one, the puppet one? You know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah.
I was a lonely goat herd lay.
I like that one. Yeah, you do know them.
I do know them. Yeah.
Did you have to do the? Yeah, I'm assuming you had to do the goodbye song at some point in there.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. That's such a good musical. I have been meaning to get my partner to watch it.
Probably my favorite.
It's so good. It's just like such a beautiful story and beautiful music, and Julie Andrews is just delightful. And yeah, so that's pretty much like the truncated version of how I came to be.
I mean, it's pretty good. It kind of cracks me up that you just decided one day.
Oh, I literally just decided. I was like, don't understand. I must be an actor. And my mom was like, I'll help you in whatever, like, stop yelling at me, Please stop yelling.
Have you tried out for Ring of Power yet?
Oh, no, I wish. Dang, I wish.
That'd be like a full circle type of thing.
Oh, tell me about it. When I when I heard there was going to be a show, I was like, this is my chance. Because obviously, I mean, I guess The Hobbit, we could have, but honestly, Rings of Power was really good. We really liked it.
I did too.
It felt so it felt, um, I recognized the feeling that I had watching it was similar to the feeling I had watching the original trilogy for the first time. They really seamlessly wove those together. Like, it was even the dialogue, the cadence of speech, like, it was majestic. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I did too. I did too. Have you read the books?
Yeah, I'm struggling to remember if I have actually finished Return of the King, if I'm being honest. I do remember Two Towers because I was a child,
Yeah.
skipping through Treebeard talks for so long. And I do remember skipping a couple of those chapters, but I would love to revisit the books as an adult.
I always remember I read Fellowship of the Ring. I was probably in 6th grade,
Mhm.
and I had some type of injury, but I wasn't able to take play or participate in gym class.
Oh, okay.
So they would allow me to read as long as I was walking while I read. So I just
Oh,
remember walking back and forth in that gym reading Fellowship of the Ring. And I loved it, but he loved his descriptions. So like the first 100 pages, you just get worn out on, him talking about the trees and stuff. But once you
yes.
get past that, pretty good.
Pretty good. Pretty good. Yeah, he does love to set the scene for you. And he's created such a world that you're like, wow, I get it. I mean,
Yeah,
like, you are laying it all out for us, but Treebeard talks for a very long
he
time.
does. He does. There's parts, but I thought, Peter Jackson did such a great job adapting. And yeah, the Amazon series, I really enjoyed it. I thought they
I
did
did
a good job.
very much so. I'm looking forward to the next season. And although I am like bummed and confused as to why Peter Jackson wasn't like involved in this round,
Same. Yeah.
it's like, okay, it seems a little strange to me, but all in all, I
Maybe
felt
he
like
was
they did.
busy.
Maybe he was busy. Maybe he was like, and there's a quote that he gave, and I don't know if it was in reference to Rings of Power. I think it was actually just in reference to the trilogy. There was at one point he said, I wish I hadn't, if I could go back, I wish I had nothing to do with it so I could just watch it and enjoy it the
Yeah.
way that everyone has enjoyed it, seeing it for the first time, like
I love it.
unbothered by all the stuff.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It'd be tough if you had to kind of create it and you're trying to do justice to the source material. It'd
Yes.
be tough. Yeah. It'd be tough.
Yeah, it would be hard to enjoy the work that you've done, the beautiful thing you created.
Well, I'm crossing my fingers for you because it seems like you could play an elf.
Oh, my God. Thank you. That's the kindest thing anyone's ever said to me. I will take that. I will say, hey, you know what? I'm looking for new representation right now. So if anybody
Oh,
out there who has a good relationship with the casting directors of Rings of Power wants to take me on and make me an elf, I will do that for
I'm
you.
going to make some calls.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I knew you would.
if if Dick Wolf needs an upset mom, does he call you just automatically?
Oh gosh, yes. I mean, he should basically. I mean, I've delivered for him a couple of times now, being a really upset mom. He should have me on speed dial because there's a lot of upset moms on that show, and it's been a minute since I've been one of them. So I'd be
Yeah,
happy to be.
time. We need to get you back on.
I agree. Totally.
Although you're so realistic with it, it's hard to watch. Like it's upsetting to watch.
Yes, it is. My therapist at the time, who is still one of my favorite people, she was with me when I booked that, and she was like, just from what you've told me, I'm not going to be able to watch it. Like, because I care about you so much, I can't see you in that much pain, and I just know you're a great actress. So I'm going to bow out, but I care about you and I support you from afar. And I was like, that is good enough for me. It is upsetting. It's very upsetting to
Yeah.
to watch. Yes, for sure.
I mean, all those Chicago shows, they're so good,
They are.
but
Yes.
it's not something you can really, at least me, I can't really binge watch them. It has
I
to be
can't.
like a show a day or something because it's emotional.
It's very emotional. My cousin, who's one of my dearest friends, she's one of those people who can binge Law and Order like it's her job. And I'm like, and I love true crime. Like I'm a true crime person too, but I can't binge like such a heavy show like that.
That's it. That's it. I feel that, or my wife and I have a rule that we don't watch anything but comedies right before bed.
Oh, that's such a
Like
good
we can
rule.
watch a movie or something, but then we'll follow it with just like a 30-minute comedy, just to
What's your
kind of
go-to
like
favorite
a
30-minute
palate
comedy?
cleanser. Well, I'm working through different things, right? So I went through The Office and Parks and Rec and all those type of Friends, Seinfeld, Big Bang Theory. I wore Big Bang Theory out. So
Sure.
now I'm in That 70s Show is what I'm watching.
Oh, so fun.
And it's good. Yeah, it's been a while
Okay.
since I've seen those. And a lot of it, I'm like, oh, yeah, I don't remember that when it was out. So,
Yeah, gosh, yeah. I think it was probably a show my mom wouldn't have let me watch, but I remember it being on when I was at friends' houses and really enjoying it.
it's
That would
funny.
be a fun deep dive to
It's
go down.
funny. I think my next one's going to be Frasier because that's supposedly is coming back out. And I'm like, well, that was always my mother's favorite comedy was Frasier. So I'm like, I think
Yes,
that's next.
totally. Oh, I think I lost you. Oh, there you are.
Nope,
There
I'm
we are.
still here.
Um, my grandmother loves Everybody Loves Raymond.
Oh, that's a
That is
good one.
her go-to.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good one. You need something where it doesn't wait. Once you turn it off, you're done.
Yes.
You just go sleep. It doesn't stay on your mind. At least
Yes.
I do anyway.
No, I think that's super smart because I think whether we acknowledge it or not, when you watch something heavy like that, it stays on you a little bit and until you have a palate cleanser.
That's right. You got to have that. You got to have that.
Yeah.
So when you were doing those roles on Chicago Med and Chicago, what was the other one? Was it PD? Was the
Chicago
other one?
PD, yeah, that was my first one I did.
Yeah. So how do you get yourself in that type of emotional state? And then is it hard to get out of it?
You know, um, it's not hard for me to get out of, which I am so grateful
That's
for.
pretty good.
Getting into it, honestly, it is kind of just like a feeling that I can like drop into
Yeah.
that it's more of a you know it is thinking the thoughts and thinking about what's happening with the character story, where are we at, what's happening, what are the circumstances, but also I think it is I've trained my body to be able to drop in and just release. I think there's just
Right.
like such a release to it and like a giving over and like I just sort of succumb to the thing that I'm trying to accomplish, I
Right.
suppose. And I don't know if that's right or wrong or if that's bad acting
If
or if
it
that's
works
good
for you,
acting,
I think it's right.
but it works for me, right? Like I think it's just kind of like I have to just like kind of center myself and get grounded, and like it's just like kind of breathing and it's just like getting myself into that like release, and then I can go from there and then I can kind of feel what's happening from there, but I do have to get my body into a certain place to do
Yeah,
it.
that makes sense to me. Are you exhausted afterward, or is it like cathartic and you're recharged?
Great question. At the time, oh, I mean, it's probably exhausting in some way because I mean, for those particular episodes, I was just crying so much. Like the first day of filming, I was on that gurney and I was just crying for like 8 straight hours because we were just like another take, another shot, like we're
Sounds
gonna do a
exhausting.
close up. Like it was tiring, but I didn't feel emotionally tired at the end of the day. I was just like, wow, I need some water. Like I need to go to bed and I need some water. So it is exhausting physically, not emotionally.
Yeah. Well, that's good. That's good.
Yes,
Yeah, and that was
grateful.
kind of my thought too. If you can detach from the emotional side of it, it would still be kind of exhausting on the physical side.
Very much so. Yeah. I did just kind of have to keep drinking water and you
Gotta
know,
stay hydrated.
yeah, yes, because like you're literally expelling all of this water. You need to replace it with something.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, you gotta replace it. So
exactly.
the new movie, yeah, it's a movie.
Mhm.
The Beanie Bubble,
Yeah.
which I love this because I'm assuming that it's about the Beanie Baby craze from like the 90s. So it's probably a period film.
Yes.
But tell me a
Yes.
little bit about it. What's the film about? What's your role in it?
Sure. So the film is actually based on a book that was written a few years
Okay.
ago called The Great Beanie Bubble. And it delves into the meteoric rise of Beanie Babies and Ty Warner's life. He is from Illinois. He's like from just like the outskirts of Chicago. But it's also got stories of all of the women in his life, whether they were romantic partners or employees, or in my character's case, like just a fan that helped bolster this craze and make it what it ultimately became, but didn't get any of the credit. So none of our characters are really like based on real people. They're kind of based on the stories in the book, and then our
Oh,
writer director Kristen Gore, she took that and kind of ran with it. So my character in particular, she is from a town called Naperville, Illinois, which is about 35 minutes from where I grew up.
yeah.
So I know this woman very well. I grew up with her. And she became a fan of Beanie Babies just by her kid takes her into a store and shows her. And there's something that happens when she picks one up. At first, she's like, okay, whatever, what is this? And then she kind of realizes, like, this could be big. Like, what if this little thing is really big? And her creative ideas, the businesswoman in her, which is very strong, kind of comes out, and she makes some decisions and is kind of strategically building a business for herself based on this product. And Ty Warner has some opinions about that.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it because I was a collector growing up. I collected Star Wars toys and comic books. I was a
Amazing.
collector, so I get it. I get
Yes.
the thrill, let's say, of collecting, especially back then because it was pre-internet, so you couldn't just
Well,
order something.
the thing that's so unique about it is that it was like happening at the same time that the internet was kind of coming up and eBay. So people were selling Beanie Babies on eBay. So there was like this whole secondary market, which my character is very much a part of. She kind of capitalizes on, because Time Warner was a very smart businessman. And I don't want to diminish anything that he did, because he was incredibly intelligent, a smart, ruthless businessman, where he made it so that Beanie Baby, what he would do with Beanie Babies is that he would only make so many of them, and then he would retire them. So they became more valuable, and
Yeah.
people were like, oh God, I gotta get as many of these, you know, Coco the Bear as I can, and so then they would resell them on the secondary market. So yeah, it is interesting. The story kind of converges the rise of the internet and then it's like becomes this bubble, and it like literally pops.
Yeah, I remember that time, and at that time, through the 90s, I owned a couple of comic book stores, and Marvel went bankrupt in 96, and I was like, it's over. So I got out of it. I closed it down, the stores, but then I sold the inventory on eBay. So I was
Oh,
on there constantly for several years, just selling through the inventory, and that's always what you saw on there was Beanie Babies, just everywhere. With that, a lot of people, they were looking at that as kind of a retirement plan.
very much so. College fund, retirement plan. I mean, and people did at the time when things were hot, they were making money. Like the woman in the story that my character is based on, she made some dollars
Yeah.
doing what she's doing. She even created her own like Beanie Baby magazine. She had like a radio show. Like people were all about Beanie Babies, and yeah, it's crazy to think about now, because you're like, wow, I mean, I don't think those things will ever be worth anything. I know there are people out there still hanging on to them, and I was one of them for a second, hoping that there would be a swing, but there
Yeah.
just hasn't been. But maybe this movie will bolster Beanie
It
Baby
might.
uh, worth.
Yeah. It might. I know back around that time, I was working at Ticketmaster, and I got a hold of a Beanie Baby, but it was based on whatever Olympics were going on around that time. And so he
Right.
was like a polar bear with roller skates, and then had the Olympic, symbols and stuff. on him.
Yeah.
Well, I had given it to my daughter, my oldest, when she was she was little. She was just a
Mm.
kid. But then I found out later, I was like, it's worth some money because it was, you know,
A limited
unique,
edition.
limited
Yeah.
edition. So I approached the subject with her. I was like, we can make a little bit. Maybe we split that. If you do
Yes.
that, she would not give that back. And
Oh,
I'm
no
so
way.
no, and I'm so glad she didn't because she kept on, carried it throughout her life, and now her daughter has it. So it's
No
still there.
way.
It's still in good shape. Yeah, I know where it's at, but now it's been passed down. So I was like, well, it worked out.
That worked out. Wow. I was not expecting you to say that. I was expecting you to say, and we lost track of it and it got donated eventually, but oh
I know
well.
exactly where it's at.
It's so cool. Does it still have its tag intact?
It's got the tag. It's not it didn't come in a box or anything, but
Yeah.
it's got the tag and it's still in pretty good shape. I mean, she played with it growing up, and now my granddaughter's playing with it, but they're taking pretty good care of, with it. It's still white, which is impressive.
That is impressive, especially with two children in succession playing with it. Yeah, that would be hard to, wow, good for them.
Do you remember, did you have like a favorite that you kept?
I kept my Princess Diana bear.
Oh, nice. That's
Yes.
a good one to keep.
Yeah, I think we donated most of the rest of them. I think I kept my Ireland bear
Hmm.
for whatever reason, I don't know, and my Princess Diana bear, and they are in like those hard plastic
Oh,
cases.
yeah, yeah.
They have the tag protectors or whatever on them. But I don't, my brother and I had like a rotating entourage of different Beanie Babies that we would bring with
Yeah.
us everywhere we went. And honestly, I do kind of like, I loved all the kitty cats.
Oh, yeah.
I loved all the kitty cat ones, but I think we did donate all of them,
I
unfortunately.
think that's okay.
Yeah.
I did the same thing. I collected my whole life, but then once I opened up the store and started selling some of that stuff, it kind of took the, I don't know, the apprehension I had of getting rid of them away. So
Sure.
so then I was okay with that. But it wasn't easy. I remember that. It was like, I don't know. It's something I've been doing my whole life, and now I'm trying to sell this stuff. That was difficult.
That would be so hard to see your things that you like prize so much being sold, and you don't know what happens to them.
Yeah.
You don't know. I mean, just kind of releasing that would be hard.
Yeah.
My
And
gosh.
now with the internet, especially Amazon, I mean, it's hard to collect anymore because you can just go on and with a click, you own it. You don't have to
Yeah.
go search for anything.
No. No.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true.
So the movie's loaded. So you've got to work with some pretty big names with
Yeah.
that, which is part of the reason I'm excited about it. But talk a
Yeah.
little bit about the cast of the movie.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Zach Galifianakis, like it was so once I realized that he was associated with the project, it was like, wow, I mean,
Isn't he like the perfect person to be in a Beanie Baby movie?
the perfect person, especially for someone playing someone like Ty Warner, who is such an elusive, mysterious person
Yeah.
that most people don't really know a lot about, and he keeps it that way. He's not open about his private life. He's really quite a character. So for Zach to have the responsibility of basically creating something from the ground up, he's got all the facts of like Ty Warner's life, but from there he had to like create this person. And
Yeah.
from what I saw on set, I mean, he and I only spent one day on set together, but it was like he has got it. Like whatever this is, I mean, it is dark and funny and like rude in some ways, or like not rude, but he's such a businessman. Like he's worried about what he's got going on, and
That's
whatever
right.
else is going on
Those
is not.
those type of individuals can come across wrong at
They
times.
can. They definitely can. They definitely can be off-putting, and I definitely think that that's what my character experiences in her interaction with him. But he was great. I mean, like such a professional, like so down to earth, like obviously just very naturally funny off screen. But once we had rehearsed the scene a few times and kind of got our blocking and figured out where the camera was going to be and what we were doing, then it was like playtime. And it was like, he would, and not to an extreme degree, but alter lines or change inflections, or just he was always, every take was a new take, like every take
I
that we
love
did
that.
was a new take. So I'm excited to see, like, which one did they pick? Like,
Right.
what are they going to do? Because like I certainly wasn't going to leave him hanging. Like I said my lines. I did what I was supposed to do, but we definitely had little moments of play where, there were just little moments that weren't planned, which is always the best.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to see what they caught. So he was so awesome to work with. And at the end of the day, like, we wrapped, like, as soon as we wrapped my scene, it was like, okay, cut. And everybody, rah, rah, like, it's just chaos moving on to the next shot. So I was kind of being ushered out. And Zach, I heard he was like, hey, Callie. And I like turned around and he's like, great job. And I was like, oh my
Oh, that's
God, it was
nice.
so nice, so kind,
Well, he
and it,
gets it. I mean, because it'd been easy for him just to not say anything.
exactly, exactly. I think that's kind of the biggest thing I've learned working with, I've like worked with some cool people, like even if it was just for a day, and I can just generally say that most people are kind and they'll acknowledge you and they'll ask you questions about yourself, and they'll engage with you. And I've had really nothing but pleasant experiences,
Well, that's
especially
pretty
on this
nice.
film.
That's
Yeah,
what you
pretty
want
nice.
as a fan, and you're playing a
Yeah,
fan in the movie. That's what you want for people you
exactly.
admire,
Yeah, totally.
is
You
for
want
them
to
to
hear
be
that
kind.
for them to be kind, for them to be real people.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he like lives on a farm. Like he's like, he's very down to earth. He has a family. He's just stars. They're just like us. Lo and behold. Lo and behold.
Well, and
Um,
Elizabeth Banks is in it as well,
she
which is
is.
another one. I said when I heard that, I was like, yeah, that fits.
Oh yeah, no, that absolutely fits. Like she is funny, but she can also be dark. She's done like, I'm thinking of her like in the Hunger Games. She
Oh
played
yeah.
like it's a dark film, but she's very versatile. She's so talented. I wish I had gotten to work with her, but I did not. Her time period, because it spans a little bit of time.
Yeah.
Like it spans like the 80s into the 90s ish. And so her time period does not coincide with mine. She's kind of already moved on. Well, I don't want to say that. She does come in and out, but we don't align. Our stories don't cross,
Right.
unfortunately. And technically, neither do Sarah Snooks and I, but we did get to spend the day together. Um, she, our scene, we have a scene that's kind of together, but she's over here, I'm over here. We're experiencing different things, but ultimately have no dialogue together. But I did get to spend the day just hanging with her in the green room, and
Awesome.
it was so lovely. I mean, she like had her ukulele. She's like hanging. We're chatting about life, and just talking about our families. And at the end of the day, she's like, "You should go to this restaurant. I went to this great restaurant the other night." So my boyfriend and I went to that restaurant that night. It was my last day on set, and it was like, oh man, like what a cool experience.
Was
So
she
yeah,
right? Was it a good restaurant?
it was so good. We have been back since. It's like one of our like go-to restaurants when we have like people in from out of town. So yeah, it's like this little Italian restaurant. So yeah, I had a great time working with anybody and everybody on that set. And Carl Clemens Hopkins, who if you watch Hacks, do you watch
Love
Hacks?
hacks.
Yeah, me too. He's so great in that. And I did not realize that he was going to be in this. And so he and Sarah and I got a chance to hang. And he's from Chicago too. So we had
Oh,
a
nice.
ton of things to talk
Yeah.
about because
He's a
he's,
really good actor.
he's such a good actor, such a good actor. So it really is like chock full of incredible people.
Yeah, it's pretty great. That's
Yeah.
that's that's pretty great. Did they let you keep any of the Beanie Babies?
Hilariously enough, they were not real Beanie Babies. They made all of those Beanie Babies by hand.
Wouldn't that make them collector's items now?
Honestly, I wish I had. I mean, in no way was I going to be like, "Hey, I know I've been on set for 4 days, but can I take one of those props?" Like, I kind of wish I would have, but in no way was I going to do that. But yeah, they're like, it would have been a collector's item to me.
Yeah. I mean, that'd be a neat there's not many props that I would want, but I'd probably want one of those
Totally. Yeah, agreed.
because that'd be a good memento. I wouldn't
It would.
sell it.
No, just
Be
to
for the
keep.
house.
just put on my little shelf in my office.
Conversation starter.
Definitely.
So the movie comes out July 21st. That's next Friday.
Yes.
And it's on Apple. Apple has yet, I think, to make a bad programmer movie.
Tell me about it.
They're
They just
so
like they
good.
put out bop after bop. Like they can do no wrong. I am proud to be part of the Apple TV Plus
Yeah.
family. Let me just say that. So it does come out the 21st in theaters. It'll be streaming the 28th.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah. So I didn't know that. So okay.
Yeah.
So it's going to have a little theater run, which that's pretty exciting. Did you get to do a red carpet?
So it is scheduled for next Tuesday night. I am technically going. I have an invite. We are kind of awaiting to see if SAG-AFTRA is going to strike, and we
Yeah.
will know very soon. And if that's the case, I think it is my duty and my privilege as a SAG-AFTRA actor to stand in solidarity with all of my fellow SAG-AFTRA
Of
members.
course.
And all of that might be put on pause or canceled, and that is okay.
Well,
And
for your sake, I hope that nothing happens until the day after it.
thank you. It would be my first red carpet, and my parents and my partner and I are flying to New York City. It would be
It's a
so
big deal.
cool. Big deal, but you know what? It won't be the last,
That's right.
and that is okay.
I
Yeah.
hope hopefully they can work that out, and the writers too, because
So right.
obviously we need actors and writers. Just make
Yes.
sure everybody is being treated fairly. It's not that hard.
I couldn't agree more. I'm like, why is this so hard? Just give up a yacht or two, and I think it would all be taken care of,
That's
and
it.
just make sure
It's
that like,
it's it's upsetting that we run out of stuff to watch so quickly.
yes.
You
Yes.
know, I mean, it's
I know.
only been a few weeks, and it's already getting. You're like, when's something new coming out? That's part of the reason this movie's coming out. I was like, great,
I know, something to watch. I
something to
know.
watch.
It's so true. I know. In that regard, this is kind of like perfect timing because I think people will be excited to watch it, but in no way is it like I would rather all of us were working. I would
Yeah, for
rather
sure.
all of us were creating new content for sure. So yeah, everything's kind of on a little bit of a halt right now. I'm hoping for the whatever the best thing is supposed to happen. I hope that that happens.
Yeah, me too. I'll hope for that as well. Did you get you an outfit just in case?
Well, I am hiring a stylist,
Oh,
so
good.
I haven't I don't know what I'm wearing or anything like that, which is okay. I would know when I got to New York. We would go fitting things like that. So I didn't buy an outfit, just plane tickets, a hotel room, all that stuff.
See, that's the part that would stress me out is trying to figure out what to wear. I would have to get somebody to help me because I'd be clueless.
Oh, same. I mean, I am like, you know, this is nice to me what I'm wearing right now. I am a very comfy, cozy person
Yeah.
who can admire and loves and has appreciation for fashion and red carpet looks. I would feel, and maybe I would feel differently after I've done my first one. I was kind of excited to do it because I'm like, I feel like afterwards I'm going to be like, okay, I get it now. I think I know what this is. But currently I'm like, I need somebody to hold my
Yeah.
hand, dress me, put makeup on me because I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah. You got to have somebody to style your hair and all that. I wouldn't have that trouble, but you would need
Yeah,
somebody to.
you wouldn't have any trouble at all. You just show up, you look beautiful the way you are.
Back in the 80s, though, I had the hair, like the 80s hair. I could feather it back, that type of
Just
thing.
tease
And I
it.
hated it. It took so long. That's my theory of why I don't have hair now is because it finally was like, okay, we're out of here.
Okay, see you later then. Bye-bye.
It
Too
is a
much.
lot easier now, though.
I bet. Yeah, I bet your life you are able to live more of your life because you don't have to worry about things like that.
That is kind of true.
You know? Like, I mean, I've lost I mean, not that I really spend a ton of time on myself, but hours of my life have
Yeah,
I lost trying to be presentable in the way that our society deems presentable.
I
So,
know.
congrats to
I,
you. And
I'm
you are
I've
still
been toying
presentable.
with the idea of like every interview wearing a different wig.
I wish, yeah, please do that. Please
I
do
think
that.
it could work.
I think it could work too.
Some of them would just be like normal hair. but some of them
Sure.
wouldn't be.
And especially for people like if you were like me and like I went back at like I had watched some of your previous interviews, what a surprise for whoever who have just like, huh, this is you don't what happened? You don't look like is this the same
See,
person?
and I think the way to do it is I would never admit or mention that something was different.
Oh no, I think you should play it completely straight and act like absolutely nothing is wrong or different.
Yeah, I think that'd be hilarious.
Oh,
I might be the only one laughing.
oh, well, yes, it might, but at the end, maybe at the end when you've like pressed stop, you can be like, okay, like
Yeah,
I'm
well,
sorry,
okay.
right? Like here's my
And
head.
we can go.
Here's my real
Or
head.
what if the guest also wore a wig?
Oh, like that was part of the
That's
like the
part of the
request for
thing.
the
We
interview.
both wear wigs.
I love that. I mean, I could have like gotten an like an elven wig
Oh
to
yeah,
wear today.
you could totally do that.
Yeah, I think so too. Could have just
If
like popped
if
by.
you if you could pick any color of wig to wear, what would you pick?
Mm. You know, I've always wondered what I'd look like as a redhead.
Oh, that's a good one.
You know,
You're kind of fair skinned. I think you could totally do redhead.
I think I could pull it off. I've
Which is
never.
why I said you could be an elf.
Yes, yes. Although in the Rings of Power, we know that there are all different shades of
I
skin
know I
tone
like that.
as an elf. I know. I did. You know, I think that for reasons we don't need to get into, people were bothered by just taking something and making it different than it was, you know, 20
Billy.
years ago. But I especially loved, and I can't think of his name, but oh gosh, what was his name? He was like in love with that woman, the black elf in Rings
Oh,
of Power. Oh, he was
yes. I
so
know who you're talking about. I can't think of his name, but I do know who you're talking about.
good. I
Really good.
loved their storyline. I loved him as a character. Like, I don't know, people are so goofy, but yes, we no longer have to be super translucent fair anymore.
That's true.
To do
That's
this.
true. It is kind of nice because it represents us as a people better.
Yes, definitely. I
Yeah.
felt like they really were very responsible with the way that they like chose to do diversity and representation in Rings of Power, and it was just so cool to see. And especially since New Zealand has such a large indigenous population, I
Right.
feel like there were a lot of indigenous faces that I was seeing, or when I would look up people on IMDb, because I just like to do that while I'm watching stuff. It was like, oh, cool. Like this is really a representation of like such a diverse group of actors from all over the world, but from that area specifically too.
Yeah. I think it's great. And we've over the last few years, we've got introduced or reintroduced to really good actors that just didn't weren't getting the roles before.
Yes. My God, yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that's been great. I've enjoyed it. I also have enjoyed the fact that we have a lot more access to out of country content than we used to because there's
Yeah.
some really good stuff going on outside of the United States.
Oh gosh, yes. And like I'll be the first to say it. There's so many actors that I admire that are either Brits or they're Australian or from New Zealand or they're like Korean or Japanese. Like I've become such fans of so many different kinds of actors
Yeah,
that we weren't being introduced to, you know, 10, 15 years ago, even, you know, 6 years ago. And
that's right.
I just have
It's
so
been
many
recent, which is
so
it's
recent.
kind of it's actually skipping the pandemic, which was terrible,
Yeah.
but it's actually a really neat time to be alive because you can actually see things changing.
Yes.
And I think that's really neat. And it's going to be fun 20, 30 years from now, looking back and seeing how far we've come. We should have been moving this direction a lot sooner, but we're doing it now. So
Yes. And I mean, I'm so excited to see like how we've advanced in storytelling too, because I mean, I'm just thinking the first thing that comes to mind is Parasite. Did you see
I
Parasite?
love Parasite. That's a great film.
Like that story could only have been told in that way by that group of people. And I mean, just culturally, we all have different ways of telling stories. And now that we're all kind of melding things together and bringing new stories to light and new ways of storytelling up to the surface, we're we're all getting a chance to experience storytelling in a completely new way.
Yeah. Yeah. I know. It's terrific.
Yeah.
So off topic, but is it possible that I saw you on a KFC commercial at some point?
LOL. Yes, you did. Yes.
I
Yes, you
wasn't
did.
sure, but I was like, that's kind of how my brain works. It just kind of runs through and tries to fit, the image together. And I'm like, I swear it was a KFC commercial.
Yes. Yes. Funnily enough, I was a vegetarian at the time, and they knew that. And the whole shtick with it is that I'm a girl going to prom, and my date shows up, and the corsage is a chicken drumstick.
Yes.
I like get like stars in my eyes. Like, it's going to be like a magical night because I'm like, wow, this boy knows me so well. And at the final shot is us dancing, and it looks like I'm going in for a kiss, but I'm actually going in for just like a big old bite of my chicken drumstick. And they literally had like a bucket where I would take a bite and I would immediately like spit it out at the end because I couldn't eat it. Like I didn't want to eat it.
Is that commercial the reason you're not vegetarian anymore?
You
Was it
know, I
that brief taste of chicken and you're like,
I was like,
yes.
wow, what have I been missing? No, especially since, if I remember correctly, that drumstick had been sitting around all day,
Oh yeah, that's not
all
good.
day. And it was like an old, cold
It'd be like
drumstick.
chewing on a shoe, I think.
It really was. It was unpleasant. So I remained a vegetarian for a few more years. I was technically like pescatarian, but
Yeah.
I never like made fish for myself. When I was pescatarian, vegetarian, I ate cereal and cantaloupe. I didn't like make nutritious
I was
meals for
gonna say
myself.
not the healthiest choices.
No, 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 it wasn't. I was like, oh, I'm going to be vegetarian so I can be healthy. And then I didn't. I continued eating French fries and I continued eating, you know. So anyway, I continued staying
I think
vegetarian
you were
for
doing it wrong, but I don't want to throw stones. So
no, no, no. I was doing it wrong. And I started eating meat a few years later, and I was like, okay, I think everything's going to be fine. Everything's going to be fine.
pescatarian would probably be the way I would go. I don't think I could give up meat, but at least with fish, you're getting protein and
Yes. And
I
it's
could,
still delicious.
and it is, yeah, it's delicious. So I
Yeah.
could probably do that. I'm not a big fast food eater anyway, so that stuff
Yeah.
wouldn't be a big deal. But it'd be tough to give up just regular, chicken and meat. I think.
Yeah. I don't know why or how I did it so long. It was like honestly, I think a principle thing. I was like, I've decided I'm doing this thing
I
and I'm
totally get
committed.
that.
But after a while, I was like, what if I just had some chicken and saw what happened? And then I was like, okay, well, I'm not going back now.
Were you? Well, that's what I was going to ask you. Were you like a weekend meat eater, or once you ate it, you're like, okay, I'm not vegetarian.
That's kind of what happened. It's like I mean, it wasn't like I was like I had a piece of chicken and then I was like, and now meat for every meal. No, I'm just gonna go to town on all this meat. Like it wasn't like that, but I definitely slowly worked my way back into it. But it was definitely like oh God, yeah, no, this is really good. I should just eat more of this.
No,
This is good.
I know.
Yeah, yeah.
We did keto a few years back,
Mm.
which works temporarily, works
Yes,
really well. I mean, I got as skinny as I've probably ever been, and we
sure.
we did it for a couple of months up until Thanksgiving.
Oh,
Like, okay, we're gonna have Thanksgiving, and then we're gonna get right back on it.
right back on track.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. As soon as I took a couple of bites, I was like, I'm not doing that again.
No way. No way. These like dinner rolls, this macaroni and cheese, no way.
It's too much. You just cutting out all carbs, it's kind of miserable. I wasn't
Oh
a fan.
my, yeah. And I'm a fan of like whatever works for your body, whatever makes you
Okay.
happy, what you feel best doing. Like some people are really against intermittent fasting. I find that it makes me feel really good. Like
Yeah, yeah.
I sleep well. I eat better when I have like a time frame that I'm eating. But for some people they're like, no, I feel like I'm starving myself. And it's like, then that's not for you, you
No.
know? Just
Now I
finding
think
the
that one's not too hard, especially if you fast through the morning. But
yes.
you can kind of get some. You wake up and if you get busy, you get some momentum. You don't even realize you're hungry till about noon anyway. So that
That's a
one's not too bad. I'd have trouble extending it to like you see some of these people that fast for 2 or 3 days at a time. I couldn't do that.
no, I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in like maybe like pressing up, like putting my breakfast up to like 11 and then eat until like 7 a.m. And then, I'm not looking to go
Well, at
any.
least when you were just eating cereal and cantaloupe, what kind of cereal were you eating? Because that's probably going to
Cheerios.
determine it.
Cheerios.
Okay, that's not terrible.
They're not terrible, but like what nutritious value do they have? It wasn't like I was eating Lucky Charms or anything like
Lots
that.
of fiber. I guess that's probably good.
Fiber, sure. Yes.
Like just
Yes.
plain Cheerios, or were you going with the honey nut?
I do love Honey Nut Cheerios. Probably a mix of both. They probably alternated.
Okay. I
Dabbled in
mean,
both, got a little crazy.
toddlers, they eat a lot of Cheerios, so they seem to do
I
okay.
do. And a lot of fruit.
And a
So
lot of fruit. My
big.
my
Hmm.
oldest grandson, my wife planted a garden this year,
Hmm.
tried to do that, and he loves just going and picking stuff off of it and trying.
Yeah.
So he was over the other day and he told her, he's like, you need to get more things that I can eat.
Oh.
So he wanted more, more
Oh.
variety in her garden. What he was saying. I was like, okay.
Like, what did he want? What was he requesting?
I don't think he knew. He
Oh,
just
he
wanted
just
more.
wanted more. Just get more of it.
So
More.
she went out and got some stuff. She got a grapevine and a few other things he could pick
Yeah.
and eat. So yeah, we'll
I
see.
love that. Oh, there's nothing like just I was just home and as soon as I walked in my mom's kitchen, I saw a little bowl of tomatoes that I knew she'd gotten
Oh yeah.
out of her garden, and I was like, yink, 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 yink. They
Yeah,
were
because
all mine.
those are the best tasting ones. I mean, they don't last very long.
No,
They don't have any pesticides or anything on them, but they're so good.
they're so, so good.
Yeah.
Yes. Big fan.
Well, Callie, thank you for just talking about everything with
Oh
me.
my
This
gosh,
has been great.
literally everything. I would talk to you forever. Thank you for having me. This has been so much fun.
Yeah, you have to come back after once the Beanie Bubble bursts and it's out there and just this huge hit.
Yes.
Then you got to come back for the next project.
Please, I would love nothing more. Let's do that. Let's keep that and next time we're wearing wigs.
Oh yeah, we're wearing wigs, and hopefully we're talking about Rings of Power. I hope that's
Oh.
what the show that you're on.
Oh yeah, hopefully I'm just wearing my just like super casual Rings of Power wig that I wear on set.
If you do that, then I will get me one too. I'll probably end up looking more like a Vulcan, but
Yes, but I'm just dying to see it. I'm just dying to see it. So pinky
oh
promise
yeah,
that we're gonna be doing
I'm
that.
there. I am there.
Amazing.
So a couple
Awesome.
of things, Callie, though, before we go,
Yes.
anything else that you're working on that we can keep an eye out for?
Nothing right now, just because the writers have been on strike for a while. But I worked a lot last year, which was so much fun. So
Awesome.
I do make a brief appearance in the new Justified
Oh, I
series.
meant to ask you about that because I'm such a fan.
I have
Oh,
never seen the original series, but like, and when I say brief, I mean brief, my friend. Like you're watching my butt walk up some stairs and I'm saying a line. But hey, you know what? I got health insurance last year and I couldn't be happier just from all
oh,
the
what a
work.
great show to have a little appearance on.
Totally, totally. And my character had a name, so maybe she'll come back next season. Who knows?
I like that.
So
Always
that'll
go for a name. You want a character with a name, just in case.
yes, just in case, because they could bring her back. Her name's
Looks
Rachel.
better on IMDb too.
Yes, it does, because people are like, "Oh, she has a name." Meanwhile, it really is just my butt walking up some stairs. Another project I'm really excited about because I love grounded sci-fis. There was a book that came out a few years ago called Dark Matter.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
So there's going to be a series on Apple TV Plus. Um,
That's
Dark Matter.
exciting.
Yeah. So I'm just like in one episode of that, which will be fun. Got to hang out with Jennifer Connelly and Joel Edgerton for a day, which was
Not
nice.
terrible. Yeah.
Not terrible, not mad. What else did I do? Oh, there is another series that's coming out on Hulu called The Other Black Girl, which is based on a book that also came out in 2020 that I also make an appearance in. So there's like a bunch of stuff. Yeah, there's a bunch of things
You're
coming up
busy.
that I've been working. So
Yeah,
I'll
that's
definitely
pretty
keep
good.
you abreast of those things. But in the meantime, Beanie has been like my I've been
As it
so
should be.
excited. Yeah.
As it should be. Yeah, that's really really cool that you got to be a
Yeah.
part of that project. Although I will say you should probably go back and watch Justified. It's worth it.
I have heard from so many people because people have been asking me like, "Oh, Justified, like, can you tell us anything?" And I'm like, "Well, I can't really because I feel like I don't really know."
I'm
But
pretty sure because I read the books, and I'm pretty
Mhm.
sure that this series is based on the newest book that he wrote.
It's Justified City Primeval is what the full title of this series
Is
is.
he
So
in Miami? Maybe
he does go to Miami.
that's what I thought. I think that's the book.
Does go to-
I don't remember
Yeah.
the name of it, but I think it was just called Raylan. Was the name of the book?
Oh. Okay, cool. I am remembering they did have to go shoot some stuff in Miami. I'm
Yeah,
almost positive. So that makes sense.
yeah, it's exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty good. That's exciting. Okay, so
Good.
last thing, where can we find you on social media?
Instagram is my favorite. It's
Mine
at,
too.
I love it. It's just a bunch of fun pictures. It's at Callie, Callie,
Yeah.
Rochelle, Rachelle, Johnson, Son.
We
Just
don't
at,
have enough Rochelle's out there. That's a good name.
thank you. Thank you. I agree. My mother, it was the nurse that helped her birth me. She, like, my mom had a lot of back trouble. She rode horses as a kid and grew up like showing. So her back's really bad. So this nurse, her name was Rochelle, massaged her, helped make her feel better while she
I
was in
love
labor.
that.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
that's it.
that's
Cool.
a good story for that name. Because
Thank you.
usually you just hear, yeah, it was my grandmother's name
Yeah.
or something like that. I like that
That
one.
I like it too. I like it too. So at Callie Rochelle Johnson on Instagram. And my website is just www.calliejohnson.com.
Yeah, and it's a pretty good website. Do you keep it up yourself or do you have some people?
I keep it up myself.
That's not easy.
It isn't. It isn't. But once I got all my photos for my PR campaign for Beanie, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna put all those photos up. So I had a lot of fun doing that.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, Callie, thank you so much. And
Thank you.
definitely come back. I'm going to be picking out my wig.
Yep, I'm gonna be picking out mine. You better bet. Awesome. Thank you so much for having me.
You're so welcome. Okay, hold on one second. Well, how much fun was Callie Johnson? That was terrific. I had the best time. Hope you enjoyed that. We were kind of all over the place, which I tend to do. I love to have a good conversation. She's like I was a fan of her acting. She's an amazing actress, but just a good person. That was so much fun. I'm sure you've probably seen her on Chicago Med, Chicago PD. I mean, those roles that she played on there were so emotional, difficult to watch, and she was so good at them. Um, just a terrific actress. Make sure July 21st, if you get a chance to go out to the theater and watch it, or you can wait till the 28th and it'll be on Apple. The Beanie Bubble. Those of us that grew up or were around through the 80s and 90s when that was such a phenomenon, such a fad. I think we'll really enjoy the movie because that was the time. She talked a little bit about it kind of going alongside the internet and being able to sell things online, and it definitely was there. But when they first came out, it was pure collection. You had to go and search for those. They weren't very easy to find, and I always lament the internet for that respect. It's been great in a lot of ways, but the fact that as long as you're willing to pay for it, you can get whatever you want. I don't really like, because I miss those days of hunting for that one character or that one comic book. And you're hitting every five and dime store or every hardware store, newsstand, anything you can find just to see if they would have that particular, figure item that you're looking for. So I miss those days. But overall, internet's been pretty good to us. So I'm not really complaining. Thank you guys so much for tuning in again this week. We definitely don't take that for granted. If you're finding us for the first time, thank you. We can really use your support. It's easy. It's free. All we ask is that you subscribe. If you're watching, our YouTube channel is MeisterCon Pod. Just hit subscribe. Really does help us out. If you're listening, just wherever you're listening to, subscribe there. That'll help us as well. If we're, if we're doing anything in studio, or if we're covering a convention, if we're going on location, we put all of that on our website, meistercon.com. So definitely check us out there. We also have 617 episodes and counting, audio and video, on the website, meistercon.com. So definitely check us out there. You'll find plenty of people that you either are a fan of or that you should be a fan of. Guarantee it. I would put our guest list up against anybody else's guest list. I'm that confident in the show. We are also recently were named one of the top podcasts on IMDb, the entertainment database. Very proud of that. We're up alongside some heavy hitters from Disney and Marvel, Joe Rogan, some of these guys that are just monsters in the podcasting world, but we're right up there with them. Would really appreciate if you would go to IMDb and take a look at our page. That helps us as well, gives us a little bit of juice, so to say. It's Too Opinionated Podcast. So check that out, IMDb. Thank you guys so much. I'll shut up now. Bye, everybody. Hi, everybody. I'm once again here to ask for your support. It's been a big year for the Too Opinionated Podcast. Back in February, we got to live out a dream, moderate for William Shatner here in our hometown. In May, we passed 100,000 downloads on our YouTube channel, and we followed that up in June with 50,000 downloads on the audio side. We recently posted our 600th episode, which is pretty good volume for just a father and son operation. Not too many podcasts can keep that volume up. We've been doing this now for 4.5 years, 600 plus episodes. We recently hit 1,000 subscribers on our YouTube channel, which is a really big deal for us because we've always gotten the views, but have struggled to get people to subscribe. So that 1,000 was a big deal for us. And best of all, we were recently named one of the top podcasts on IMDb, which is the entertainment database. Those that are ahead of us, we came in at number 82. Those that are ahead of us are bigger companies like Disney, mostly Marvel, and Joe Rogan, that type of podcast. So for us, being just a small West Virginia father and son podcast, to be in the top 100 out of 15 million, it's a pretty big deal for us. So thank you for everything you've done for us so far. Got a couple little ways, though, that you can help us, and they're free, and they're really easy. If you haven't checked out our YouTube channel yet, please go to YouTube. It's under MeisterCon Pod. Just hit subscribe. It's free. Doesn't cost you anything. Really helps us a ton. And maybe even more important, if you could go to IMDb, imdb.com, look up the Too Opinionated Podcast, and just look around the page. Just having that traffic on the page really helps us out. So that's a couple easy ways that you can support us, even if you're not listening or watching all of the time. And we want you to listen and watch, because I think that our guest list, I would put up against anybody, any other show, podcast, anybody out there. I think our guest list holds up. So please check us out. You probably will find somebody that you like, or maybe somebody that you didn't know you liked, but kind of discovered them on there. There's tons of that. If you're into music, we have that too. If you like books, we've got authors on there. If you're more into what goes on behind the scenes in the entertainment world, we've got producers, directors, video artists, anything you can think of that happens behind the scenes, we've had them on the show. So definitely check us out. Thank you guys so much. Until next time. Bye, everybody.